If you are an absolute beginner, you should definitely watch this lecture. By the end of this lecture, you will have a good understanding on the base concepts of Excel pretty quickly. If you are already familiar with Excel, please check the content, and if you feel yourself confident on these areas, feel free to skip this video. Now let's get into it. When you start Excel, you can open a new blank workbook by clicking on this icon. And you see something like this. During this course, my mouse cursor will be marked with this yellow circle, so you can easily follow whatever I do, wherever I do it. At the top, you can see the name of this file. On the top left, this area is called the Quick Access toolbar. The first button is Save, and you can see its shortcut key in the tooltip, Ctrl+S. When you see a shortcut key like this, it means that you press and hold the Control key on your keyboard, then you hit the other key, and finally release Control. So I hit Ctrl+S and it invokes the Save As panel. You can choose the location of your file here. I hit Escape to quit this form. These are the Undo and Redo buttons. I haven't done anything yet, so they are not active. They work the same way as in any other software. It's worth to memorize their shortcut keys. Ctrl+Z and Ctrl+Y. Here you can customize this Quick Access toolbar. You can add or remove buttons. The next row is the main menu. As I'm clicking through, you can see the underlying items are changing. This section is called the ribbon. The Excel menu structure has a responsive design. It means that it may look differently depending on your screen resolution. My screen is a Full HD or 1080p display, but if I take my window size smaller, you can see that the look of the buttons will change. If you use a lower resolution screen, you may need to look for the icons or buttons on the ribbon to follow along. I hope it won't be an issue. If for some reason your menu or ribbon disappear, look for this Ribbon Display Options button on the top right and click on Show Tabs and Comments item. This name box shows the active cell by default. You can also access certain parts in your workbook quickly through this drop-down list. It's empty now. We need to get familiar with other concepts before we use it. I can change its size by dragging this separator. By the way, when I say drag and drop, it means that I move my mouse cursor to a specific location on the screen. I press the left mouse button, hold it down, move the mouse to another location, and release the left mouse button. So this action is called drag and drop, and you will use it all the time with different purpose. This insert function button will be very useful if you are a beginner. It invokes a kind of function wizard, but we will look into that later. This is the formula bar. I'll explain soon what a formula is. We'll come back to this field then. This middle part is called the worksheet. You can see its name here at the bottom. A worksheet consists of columns and rows. Columns are marked with letters. Rows are marked with numbers. Each letter and number combination identifies a cell on the worksheet. This dark green border represents the actual cell, which is now A1. You can also see it in this name box. This A1 is called a cell reference. We will use cell references all the time. You can change the active cell by clicking with the left mouse button somewhere else. Or you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to change position. Now let's see how data entry works. I'm going to create a simple data table with some sales data. In the first row, I enter column headers. You can enter data in the active cell by simply start typing. I hit the Tab key to complete the data entry and go to the next cell on the right. Notice that the text in cell A1 extends beyond that column. Move your mouse cursor here over this column separator and double-click with the left mouse button. Excel auto-sizes column A. Or we can also drag and drop this column separator to adjust the width of this column. Let me type in the other column headers. I'm using the Tab key to move to the next cell. It would be good to auto-size all columns at once. Let's select these columns. This will be a drag and drop action I was talking about. I press the left mouse button here on column B, hold it down, drag the mouse cursor to column H, and release the mouse button. And we have all of these columns selected. Now I double-click on one of the column separators, and each column will be adjusted to the text length. Each cell has a data type in Excel. By default, it is set to General. You can see it here. I click on this down arrow to see the drop-down list. General means that the data in the cell has no specific format. Excel tries to identify it and display accordingly. I go to cell A2. I type in this date. This time I hit Enter. Notice that the active cell is now below the cell I just edited. With the Tab key you can step horizontally, with Enter you can step vertically. If I go back to cell A2, you can see that Excel has identified this data as a date. This is because the data I entered corresponds to my regional date settings, which is US English, in month, day, year format. I enter a product here. This time I hit Ctrl Enter. Remember, when you see a keyboard combination like this, you hold down Ctrl, hit the second key and release Ctrl. If you enter a textual data in a cell, the data type will be General. Let me enter a unit price here. I hit Ctrl Enter. Now the data type has remained General, but notice that Excel right-aligned this cell. We usually want to see numbers this way. Let's change its data type to currency. Clicking on this button, we get the accounting format. I choose this currency format instead. You can change the number of decimal places with this button. I type in a quantity. Now the net amount should be a calculated field because we have all the information in column C and D. When you want to calculate a value, you use an Excel formula in a cell. A formula starts with an equal sign. I type in an equal sign. Now we need to refer to this cell. I simply click on it. And we got a cell reference C2 in the formula. We need a multiply operator here. I type in an asterisk sign. And we need a cell reference to D2. This time I type in that. Watch how colors help us to connect these references with the cells. Our formula will calculate this mathematical expression. C2 cell value multiplied by D2 cell value. By the way, you can drag and drop a reference like this. But we don't need to change it, so I move it back. I hit Ctrl Enter. We get the calculated value in cell E2. Notice that we can see our formula in the formula bar. And we could edit it there too. I hit Escape to quit from the edit mode. I don't know, let's say there is a 5% tax on this product. I type in 5% and hit Ctrl Enter. Notice that we got a percentage format automatically. The tax amount will be a calculated field again. I start the formula. This will be the net amount multiplied by the tax percent. I hit Ctrl Enter. Excel has realized that net amount has a currency type and applied it on this cell too. That's good. Now the gross amount formula will look like this. Net amount, we use the plus operator and the tax. I hit Ctrl Enter. Alright, we have one row of data. Now I'd like to format this header text all at once. You can select a range of cells with the drag and drop action. I press and hold the left mouse button on cell A1, move the mouse cursor to cell H1 and release the mouse button. Now I can format these cells together. I could click here quickly to make this text bold. I could use the shortcut key Ctrl B as you can see it in the bubble. Or I can hit Ctrl 1 to invoke the Format Cells dialog window. This is where you can perform all kinds of formatting. Here you can choose a data type, but we don't need that for the header. Instead, I go to the Font tab, I choose the bold font style, a slightly bigger font size, and I choose a fill color here. I hit OK. Let's change the column width one by one. I select these cells and align them to the right with this button. I select column A and choose Center Align. Good. Now let's see the autofill feature. I select cell A2. If I drag and drop this corner node like this, Excel autofills the cells for me. I hit Ctrl Z to undo. If I hold down Ctrl as I'm dragging, watch that plus sign in the mouse cursor, Excel will copy the same value all over. This is true for date fields. On number fields, the autofill feature behaves differently. I drag the corner node downwards without control. I hit Ctrl Z to undo. Now I hold down Ctrl as I'm dragging. You see, it's the opposite. I hit Ctrl Z to undo. Excel can also realize patterns. Let's say we have cells with these data. I select them and use the autofill feature. Now I select these cells and hit delete on the keyboard to delete their contents. I autofill transaction date column without holding Control. OK. To complete the table, we just have to fill in these 3 fields. These other ones will be calculated. Now if you want to quickly enter data in an area, select the range like this. Notice that the active cell is this one. I start typing the product. Excel automatically completes the rest if the text you typed in matches a previous value in this column. I can hit Tab at this point and item 1 will be entered. This feature is called autocomplete. And now the next cell is active. I can type in the unit price, hit Tab, the quantity, hit Tab, and this way you can enter data in a range pretty quickly. Now if you hit Enter, your active cell moves vertically. And from the bottom, it jumps to the next column inside the selected range. With Shift Enter, you can go backwards. And similarly, with Shift Tab, you can go back one cell horizontally. Now I enter another item with a different name. And I start typing in the next row. Autocomplete doesn't find an exact match, so it doesn't offer anything. However, if I press Alt down arrow key, a drop-down list appears with the values. And with the arrow keys I can choose from them. It's pretty useful. I select this one and hit Enter to select it. I hit Tab to go forward. Let me enter some more data quickly. Now I'd like to copy these 2 items. We can choose the copy button here, or the shortcut key Ctrl C, or we can click with the right mouse button over the selected range, which invokes the context menu, and choose Copy from here. This context menu is very useful. It contains the most frequently used features depending on where you invoke it. Now these data are on the clipboard. I click here and hit Ctrl V to paste the data. I hit Escape to stop the selection. You can also use the autofill feature on multiple cells like this. I hold down Ctrl to copy these values. Now I select these cells containing the formulas. I can drag this corner node down, or I hit Ctrl Z to undo. In newer versions of Excel, I can double-click on this corner node to autofill. And as you can see, formulas have been copied over. I double-click on this cell, and you can see that cell references have been also updated. I hit Escape to quit. Oops, I forgot this field. Let me just enter some variations. Now the formula fields have inherited the correct data type, but some of these cells have not. I can select this column set currency data type, and decrease decimals. Good. Now I click on this cell at the bottom of the table. Let's click on this Auto Sum button. Excel puts this sum function into the formula. A function can make simple or complex calculations or transformations on its arguments. Arguments are inside parentheses. So a formula can contain not only cell references and operators, but functions as well. You can combine these elements and get pretty complex formulas. You can even embed functions inside other functions. We will talk about Excel functions in more detail later, but what this sum function does is to add up values in this range. This is how you can refer to multiple cells or a range of cells. I could also choose another range with multiple columns and rows. But let's go back to this one. I hit Ctrl Enter. And we get the sum of this column. By the way, if you select a range which contains numbers, you can see the result of these frequently used aggregated functions here. Let me format this cell. Now I click on this one. Let me show you the Insert function wizard. I click on this FX button. The Insert function window pops up. By default, you can see most recently used functions here. Excel has over 450 functions in different categories. You can choose by category, or you can use this search field. I'm looking for the function that returns the max value in a range. I click on Go to search. I need this max function. I hit OK. On this window, we can see the arguments of the function. Excel has put a default range in this argument field, and you can see cell values here. But you can select another range if you like. Anyway, the default value was good, let's use this range. I hit OK. And we got the max value of this column. OK, what else can we do here? We can insert a column. I select this one, right-click over this selected range to invoke the context menu. I could choose Insert here, but let's use a shortcut key instead. I hit Escape to hide the context menu and hit Ctrl+ to insert a new column. This will be the product group. I can also insert a row, or actually multiple rows, this way. Right-click, Insert. I undo with this button. If you use a range frequently, you can name it and use that name as a reference. Let me select this range. I go to Formulas and click on Define Name. These default settings will be just fine. I hit OK. Now let's create another name for the header. I will call it Table Header. You cannot use space characters in the name. I hit OK. Now if I click on this name box drop-down list, I can choose the name range and it will be selected. You can also use this name range type of reference wherever you can refer to cell ranges. For example, you can use this name in the sum function as an argument. we get the same result in a more readable format. Let me delete this row. I select it, right-click here and hit delete. Good. Now let's talk about two other frequently used features, sort and filter. Make sure your active cell is inside the column you want to sort by. I go back to the Home ribbon and click on this Sort option. Table rows have been sorted by this column. Now I click inside this column and choose Sort largest to smallest. Rows are sorted by gross amount. I can filter out data by clicking on this menu item. There is also a shortcut key for this, Ctrl-Shift-L. Now we have these filter toggles on each column header. Let's say I'd like to see only Item 1 transactions. I hit OK. Now the other rows have been hidden. I turn this filter feature off. Now let's create a chart from this table. I go to the Insert ribbon. From Excel version 2013, you can see this Recommended Charts button. Click on it. As the active cell is inside our table, Excel analyzes our data and suggests different kinds of charts. I choose this one. I hit OK. And we have a chart. It's very basic, but it's something you can start with. Now with the chart selected, we have an extra menu item here, Design. You can choose from predefined chart styles. I choose this one. And I select this color scheme. If you double-click on the chart, you can choose from tons of settings on this Format Chart panel. The chart has many elements, and each one of them has its own settings. We will discover many of these properties soon. We have been working on this sheet 1, but in most cases you need extra worksheets inside your workbook. You can create another worksheet by clicking on this New Sheet button. It's a good practice to place different data tables on separate worksheets and name them properly. I double-click on this one and give a name. At the bottom right, you can see this zoom slider. You can zoom in and out by clicking on the plus/minus buttons. Or you can use the shortcut keys Ctrl-Alt+ and Ctrl-Alt- to achieve the same. So I hold down Ctrl and Alt and I hit the plus key several times, and I release Ctrl and Alt. Let me pull the slider back to 100%. Alright. I think we have covered the basics. By now you know the user interface, you know how to navigate on a worksheet, how to edit cells, format cells, you know the terms data type, reference, data range, formula, autocomplete, autofill, you know what a function is, you know how to copy and paste sort or filter data. You also know how to create a simple chart. Actually, you already know a lot. In the following lectures, we are going to get your Excel skills to the next level. See you in the next video.